Savannah Tate had spent 3 years running the little cedar-framed trading post on the dusty edge of Pine Mesa. She knew every face that wandered through miners looking for tools, ranch hands needing feed, settlers picking up tin cups and coffee beans. But one customer stood out from the moment he sauntered through her door. Eli Branson. Tall, suntanned, trouble-smiled Eli. He always showed up on Thursdays, claiming it was the only day he could swing by for supplies. But Savannah had noticed something. This man bought the exact same things each week: coffee, jerky, a spool of twine, and a box of matches. Not enough to justify a full ride into town. Enough to justify seeing her back again, Savannah asked, leaning one elbow on the counter as the bell jingled oddly cheerfully behind him. "Well, Miss Savannah, I reckon I can't survive the week without your fine selection of jerky," Eli said, tapping his hat and giving her a look that made her stomach flip like a loose wagon wheel. "You bought 3 pounds last Thursday," she said. "Hard worker, burns through it fast. And the twine." He shrugged, leaning in a little closer. "Never know when a man'll need more twine." She bit back a smile. The man was ridiculous and charming as a summer breeze. Savannah told herself not to get drawn in. Cowboys drifted. Cowboys didn't stay. And she had worked too hard building the trading post to let her heart be pulled away like tumbleweed. But Eli stood there grinning like he planned to plant roots. He wandered the aisles, pretending to inspect things he absolutely didn't need. Savannah watched him trail his fingers across shelves, humming softly. Finally, he approached with his usual stack of unnecessary purchases. "You know," she said, as she wrapped his items, "there are closer posts between here and wherever you ride from." "Sure are," he said, "but none run by you." Her breath hitched. She tried to hide it, but Eli's smile deepened like he'd caught it. As he reached for the bag, his hand brushed hers warm, calloused, gentle. Heat shot up her arm. "See you next Thursday," he asked. Savannah kept her expression steady, though her heart thudded hard. "If you're out of twine again," he tipped his hat and walked out, the swing of the door letting in a gust of warm prairie wind. Savannah watched him ride off, dust rising behind his horse. She tried to convince herself he was just a customer, but she knew better. The man wasn't buying supplies. He was buying time with her, and she wasn't sure she wanted him to stop. Thursday came, and so did a storm, not a gentle one. A rolling, growling, sky-splitting mess that turned the prairie dark before noon. Savannah had barely lit the lanterns when the door banged open. Eli stumbled inside, soaked and breathless. "Reckon I misjudged the clouds," he said, dripping all over her clean floor. Savannah hurried around the counter. "You're drenched. Sit down before you fall." He obeyed, sinking onto a wooden crate while she grabbed towels from the back room. When she returned, Eli was shivering, hair plastered to his forehead, clothes clinging to him. "Lord, Eli, you're freezing." "Only everywhere but the heart," he teased weakly. She ignored the flutter in her chest and knelt to wrap the towel around his shoulders. His eyes caught hers soft, now vulnerable. The storm outside raged, wind howling as rain hammered the roof. But inside the trading post, the world shrank to the inches between them. "Didn't expect you today," she murmured. "Couldn't miss it," he whispered. Savannah stared at him, the truth settling in her like warm coals. He wasn't flirting because it came easy. He wasn't teasing because he was a cowboy with time to kill. He genuinely liked her. She stood quickly, breaking the moment. "I'll make coffee." She busied herself behind the counter, hands trembling slightly. Eli's gaze stayed on her. She could feel it like sunlight on her back. When the coffee was ready, she handed him a steaming tin cup. "Thanks, Savannah," he said quietly. She sat across from him, the lantern glow smoothing the lines of worry in his face. "So where were you riding from?" "Ridge Canyon. That's 2 hours away." "3, in weather like this." She swallowed. "You rode 3 hours in a storm just to see me." "Guess I did," he said simply. Her heart thudded hard. Before she could answer, thunder cracked so loud it rattled the walls. Eli stood and peered through the window. "Wind's too rough to ride. Looks like I'm stuck here a while." Savannah's pulse fluttered. They'd been alone in the store plenty of times before, but never trapped together. "Fine," she said. "But you're not tracking mud everywhere. Take off those boots." His eyebrow rose. "You ordering me around? It's my trading post." Eli grinned and pulled off his boots, then peeled off his soaked shirt, wringing it out by the door. Savannah's breath hitched again, broad shoulders, toned chest, the quiet kind of strength formed by long days and hard work. He caught her staring. She turned away so fast, she nearly knocked over a lantern. "I'll grab you a blanket." But when she returned, Eli gently caught her wrist. "Savannah, I didn't come for supplies. I came for you." The storm raged louder outside, but inside her heart, something warm finally cracked open. The storm kept Eli at the trading post well into the night. They talked until the lanterns burned low about ranch work, about the isolated life Savannah had built, about dreams they rarely voiced aloud. But something nudged at her, something unspoken. Finally, as she refilled his coffee for the third time, she asked, "Eli, why did you really start coming here?" He leaned back, expression shifting from playful to honest. "At first, needed supplies. Then one day, I walked in and saw you behind the counter, hair tied up with that blue ribbon, trying to fix a broken saddle strap, while telling two miners to stop arguing." She blinked. "That was months ago." "Exactly," he said. "I knew then I was a goner." Savannah's breath softened. "But there's another reason," Eli added, voice dipping lower. "One I didn't tell you." Her stomach tightened. "What reason?" He hesitated. It wasn't like him. Eli was easygoing, smooth with words, warm as coffee on a winter morning. But now, he looked troubled. "There's a rancher out near Ridge Canyon, Clayton-Brigg," he said. "Mean as a rattlesnake. He's been pushing folks off land that isn't his. Burned a shed last month, shot at a homesteader last week." Fear prickled across her skin. "Eli, what does that have to do with you riding here?" "He's after my ranch next," Eli said quietly. "I've been trying to stay unpredictable ride. Different trails, different hours. Didn't want trouble following me." Savannah's eyes widened. "So you came here because I knew you were safe, and I felt safe near you." That admission hit her like a strike of lightning. Savannah sank onto the stool opposite him. "But Eli, if someone's threatening you, you shouldn't be riding alone." "I'm handling it. I always do." She reached across the counter without thinking, sliding her hand over his. "You don't always have to." His fingers curled gently around hers. "I didn't want to scare you off." "You didn't." She met his gaze fully. "You couldn't." For a moment, neither spoke. The ticking of the wall clock filled the silence, syncing strangely with the rhythm of her heart. Eli swallowed. "I kept telling myself to stay away, to keep you out of whatever was coming. But every Thursday, my horse just seemed to walk this direction on its own." "And now?" she asked softly. "Now, I'm tired of pretending. I don't want something real." Savannah's breath trembled. She had guarded her heart for years, telling herself she didn't need company, didn't need affection, didn't need someone riding 3 hours just to see her smile. But Eli had slipped under every wall she'd built. Outside, the storm began to fade, but tension still clung inside the trading post warm. Hopeful, dangerous in its own way. "Savannah," Eli said, voice barely above a whisper, "tell me to stop, and I will. But if you don't." She didn't look away. "I don't want you to stop." His smile was slow, deep, and full of promise. And before the next drop of rain hit the window, Eli Branson leaned across the counter and kissed her. The next week Eli didn't show on Thursday. Savannah checked the road every time the wind shifted, pretending she wasn't waiting. But by sundown, worry gnawed her like a wolf at the door. Friday morning, she saddled her horse. If Eli couldn't come to her, she'd go to him. The ride toward Ridge Canyon was rough, jagged rocks, rising slopes, and a growing sense that someone was watching her. She kept one hand on her saddle holster until she finally spotted smoke curling from a chimney in the distance. Eli's ranch. Relief washed over her until she saw the broken fence posts, boot tracks in the dirt, and a bullet hole in the barn door. Her heart lurched. "Eli," she called, sliding off her horse. He stepped out of the barn slowly, wiping sweat and dirt from his brow. A bruise darkened one cheek. Savana gasped. Eli forced a half-smile. "Well, you should have seen the other guy." She marched straight up to him and grabbed his shirt. "Don't joke. Tell me." His shoulders sagged. "Briggs sent his men. Wanted me off the land by Sunday." A cold fury rose in Savannah's chest. "And you were going to handle it alone." "It's my fight. It became my fight," she said, voice shaking, "the moment you kissed me." Eli's expression softened with both guilt and longing. "I didn't want you in danger." "Well, too bad. I'm here." He looked away, conflicted, but Savannah wasn't backing down. She stepped closer, placing both hands on his chest. "Eli, you let me in. You don't get to push me out when things get hard." He swallowed. "I don't know how to protect you from this." "You don't have to." "We'll protect each other." Before he could respond, hoofbeats thundered in the distance. Eli grabbed Savannah's hand and pulled her behind the barn. Briggs, riders 4 of them, peered over the ridge, rifles slung casually but meant to intimidate. They circled the property like vultures. "Stay low," Eli whispered. One rider shouted, "Branson, you got till tomorrow night to clear out, or we'll clear you out." The gang rode off, dust rising behind them. Savannah turned to Eli, eyes blazing. "There's no way you're leaving this ranch." "Didn't plan to," he said. "But the odds..." "Forget the odds. We need a plan." For the first time since she'd arrived, Eli smiled with real hope. "You got something in mind?" Savannah tapped her fingers against her thigh. "I run a trading post, Eli. I know everyone: ranchers, trappers, freighters, folks who owe me favors. If Brig wants a fight, then he's not just fighting you." Eli stared at her, admiration slowly overtaking fear. "You're something else, Savannah Tate." They stood close to closened for a moment. The trouble outside faded. "We'll face this together," she said. This time, Eli didn't argue. By dawn the next day, Pine Mesa was buzzing. Savannah had ridden through half the territory, gathering people, and Eli had never seen anything like it. Farmers with pitchforks, ranch hands with lassos, hunters with rifles, all ready to stand their ground. When Briggs' gang arrived that night, they didn't find one man waiting. They found a community. "Branson, you got guts," Brig growled. "But guts don't keep you alive." "No," Eli said, stepping forward. "Good people do." Savannah stood beside him, chin lifted. The first shot fired from Briggs' side, grazing a wagon wheel. But Pine Mesa didn't scatter. They surged forward. Dust filled the air. Horses reared. Men shouted. It wasn't a full war, but it was a clash enough to send Briggs' men scrambling. Within minutes, the gang retreated, realizing they were outnumbered and outmatched. Brig glared at Eli. "This ain't over." "Yes, it is," Savannah said sharply. "Because Pine Mesa stands together." Brig spat in the dirt and rode off with the last of his pride. Silence settled over the field. Relief spread like sunshine after rain. Eli turned to Savannah, eyes full of something deep, something final. "You saved my home. You saved my heart," she whispered. He stepped closer, gently cupping her face. "Savannah, I haven't just been riding here for supplies. I've been riding toward a future." Her heartbeat fluttered. "And what future is that?" "One where I don't let you ride away in the morning." He kissed hers low, certain, grateful. Around them, the townsfolk cheered, but all Savannah felt was Eli's hands, Eli's breath, Eli's promise. When they pulled apart, he whispered, "Stay here, with me." She smiled, brushing her thumb along his jaw. "Only if you promise to still buy unnecessary twine." He laughed, pulling her into another kiss as the sun dipped low beyond the ridge. From that day forward, Eli never missed a Thursday, because he never had to ride far again. Savannah's trading post became part of his life, and she became the part he'd been searching for all along. They built their future one day at a time, side by side, heart by heart. And that's how frontier temptation turned into frontier love. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Western stories.